Hey everybody, welcome to another live episode of Cleaning and Cocktails. I have the distinct honor, and you're going to get to know my guest. You may have seen him before, you may recognize his face, but he is, I can call a friend, a dear friend of mine now, is John Barrett from the ISSA. That's just one brand and company that John has represented or represents. We're going to get into his whole backstory, but you guys know the deal. We talk about the cleaning industry. I bring on cleaning subject matter experts or just professionals from the industry, whether it's manufacturing, suppliers, organizations like the ISSA, which if you don't know who they are, you should. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But again, this show and this podcast is about you guys out there listening. I know the cleaning industry is lonely sometimes. So if we could do anything, if anything we can do here is give you some value add and some life back into what I love about being in the cleaning industry and being a cleaning business owner. And John's got a wealth of knowledge, you guys. So without further ado, John Barrett, I know you're caught. Look, I see the water in the back. I see the wind blowing. I'm out of Chicago right now, guys. So John, thank you for taking the time. I know how busy you are, man. You guys, this is John Barrett, Executive Chairman out of the ISSA. Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Ricky, I'm thrilled to be talking to you. You know, one contractor to another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Hey, we're talking cleaning because we are about cleaning. This is what we do. And not only that, you guys, I got my cocktail. John, you got your cocktail? I always forget this one, right? But I got to start it, right? He's not only got one, ladies and gentlemen, he's got two. He's got a beer back on top of that with the Chicago Bears beer koozie. So cheers. Thank you again for joining us, man. I appreciate it. John, I got a lot of information on you. I know, and who you are, but I want to let you speak a little bit about just who is John Baird as far as when did you get into the cleaning industry, man? Like what, I know you personally, but many may not. And we've got a lot of things to talk about with you, but like what was the first years of John, you being exposed to the cleaning industry?
Ricky, everybody gets into the cleaning industry by accident. Like, it's a fact. Nobody wakes up and says, I want a career in the cleaning industry. So I was working for the Xerox Corporation. I had spent almost 10 years there, and I really wanted to advance my career. So Xerox was nice enough to send me to business school. I got my MBA from the University of Chicago. And no sooner had the ink dried on my diploma than I left the humdrum world of the Fortune 100 for the glamour and excitement of the contract services industry. But there was a reason. The reason was I wanted to run something. And this was the only industry that would give me a chance to run something. And that's why I picked it.
And so like what I say about, I've got my questions, but when I hear something that gets me going, I pick at it a little more, John. So I feel like people need to hear that again, right? It's like this industry, this business, many say, oh, it's easy to get into because it's, low startup costs and you can be your own boss and, get after it. But like how you said, as far as starting something and doing it your way, can you elaborate a little more on, because you left you just said it, Fortune 100 company. What else? Was there an itch? Do you have entrepreneurship in the family, in the history?
Oh, no. And Ricky, I got to correct you because I am not an entrepreneur. I help entrepreneurs make their hopes and dreams come true. That, Ricky, is my superpower. I've never started a company.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we go.
Worked with people. So look, coming from Xerox, which is a huge organization, I was able to join another organization at scale. So I ended up managing a business for a company called Ogden Services that doesn't even exist anymore. It was ultimately sold to Unico out of Boston. So I came at this industry from a different place, right? And I hope you understand this when I say this, but I don't really know that much about cleaning. I know a fair amount about business. So I never really worked in these businesses. I always tried to work on them, And I think that's just as true today as it's ever been. And look, I have the most respect for the people that actually start businesses from scratch and create something. I am not that guy. Like, I'm just not that guy. But given a good platform, I think I know how to scale it. And that's really what my career's been about.
Okay. So I'm going to jump right into that piece then, John, because like the positions you've held, you just said one of them, Unico, right? You are at Kimco, Urist, SMS Assist, which me and you have talked about many times. Like, now this is all making sense where you're coming at it from an executive position, where what I want to talk about real quick then is I struggle to this day, John. I still struggle with, I have a family business. I know many cleaning companies out there are family businesses. And I got to tell you, man, there was moments when we hit certain revenues and people would say, man, congratulations, Rick. You know what? You should be so happy. Like, you should be content. You've hit a certain mark in business with this industry. It's hard to go past that, though. So, hey, congratulations, man. Be happy. And I always felt like a chip on my shoulder. Like, why can't I build bigger? And I would tell you a lot of the times was, and I still am working in the business, man. It is hard to work on the business when you've built the business and you're in the business. I feel like, I don't know how we can elaborate on that, John. Like, how important is it for an entrepreneur then to have somebody like a John Barrett or that executive team? Because I see it, like, you get to a certain point and you bring on executive experience. Like, many would argue, I want to build it my way. Or many would argue, I don't need it. We've gotten this far. What do you feel brings an entrepreneur that's so ingrained into the business when they bring that executive experience?
So it's the hardest decision an entrepreneur will ever make, and I'll give you a couple of examples. But their ownership and management aren't the same thing, right? You can own an asset and you can manage an asset, but you're not required to do both of them. And every company I know that actually got to scale, the owner manager became an owner, and hired a team to execute the responsibilities to their customers and to their employees and to their vendors, right? Because it's a community. So that's hard, right? Because that costs real money, particularly the first hire, which is your replacement, But I just don't understand how an owner can get to scale without building a team. And if you just look around, right, you'll see great examples where owner managers have made it, but they're still working 80 hours a week and they're 65 years old. I don't think that's a win. I don't, And then you look at other owners who built some very impressive companies who really achieved that lifestyle work balance. They're growing their value faster because they've got a good team. But I mean, this may be, I don't know if this is going to be comfortable for your audience to hear me say this, because we all have a lot invested in our companies. But I'm telling you, the only way to scale is to fire yourself and build a team. No,
John, I mean, I'm sorry to the audience if we spend about 45 minutes on this topic, because this is just opening up a lot of, because I am living this right now, John, right? It's like what you just said, we talk about with my family and just the business in general, or other colleagues and peers. I'm part of a lot of mastermind groups, and we always, me and my cousin will joke, and I know Tony's going to probably listen to this too, and my brother is going to listen to this, but we always say, man, we're CEOs and C executives because we put ourselves in that position, because we built the company on instinct. Again, to my company today, I'm not telling you I'm doing anything, right? But it's like, you think about that though. You do think about, like, am I that person that could take us to the next level? And if I'm not, that's not a bad thing. That means we're reaching a point, an inflection that we need for the better of the company. Like you just said it, the chances of you scaling and growing exponentially get better because you have the right team in place, but you're still involved, right? This is our baby. We own it.
I mean, again, there's a huge difference between ownership and management. And let me further offend your audience, particularly those that are family-owned companies. So another mistake that is really...
Hold on. My family, don't close your ears. Go ahead. Keep going.
That's on all families, not just, you know, but look, another huge mistake that family companies make is when they look to leadership, they look only to their kids. And I got to tell you, if you were responsible for advising a company to go out and hire the very best management team they could find, would you limit that search to the 3 people that have your DNA? The answer is no. You would not advise them to do that. You could involve your family in ownership. Maybe they are the best in management, but it's kind of it's the second mistake that family businesses make. And I hope that's not, again, I hope I'm not offending it. But
and what this does, John, like you said the word, it makes things uncomfortable. I'm getting better myself too. And I know a lot of my peers and colleagues and even my team, we need to get better at feeling uncomfortable, because that means something's going on.
Yeah.
Where to me, it's a challenge, or it's a good, or it's turn a negative into a positive. But like what I'm curious to ask then, again, you may, multiple answers here probably too, John, is I'm always big on roadmaps or like visuals. Like, let's say a company hits 10 million in revenue. Mm-hmm. Is that big enough yet where you think they need a C-level executive team, or is it when they hit 20, or is it when they hit 5? Like, is there any levers or indicators from your executive experience where it's like, at that type of revenue, if you're hitting certain margins, you should have some type of outside executive management? Or, I mean, am I off? Or
no, you're fine. The problem is you haven't told me how many customers you have. Is that one customer, or is it 1,000 customers?
Yeah,
and
so
that matters, right?
Got it.
But ultimately, look, I mean, $10 million is a very nice size contract service business. And at $10 million, you can really, I think, start to think about scaling a little differently. It's tougher at a lower level, Rick, because you got to, it's just tougher, right?
It's tougher. Yeah. At 5 million, I didn't even fathom that. At 5 million, it was like, no, it's all us. We got us here. We're going to get us to the next level. And that's it, right? But
the number of contracts really matters. The geography really matters. How complex is the business? Is it single service? Is it multi-service? So obviously, the more complex the business, the more I think management teams required.
Okay. All right.
Let me unoffend. Let me unoffend your audience, because there's a really good chance that first management team already works in your company.
I was going to ask that. Yeah. How many times?
You may need some development work, right? They may need some executive coaching, but that's peanuts compared to trying to go find somebody, because it's a lot tougher it's a lot tougher to bring that person in if you don't know them, right? But that is ultimately the risk you will get to. At some point, you're going to get there. But hopefully there's people in the organization that can be challenged and can grow.
As well. Now, so you brought up another good point too. Like, I just started doing strategic coach, John, myself, right? So how important, like, again, I'm speaking from shared experience, right? Family businesses, again, the team that got us here is still here. We're still growing. Like, how do you flip the switch to now implement executive coaching, implement coaching for the next level of management when we've never done it before, right? A lot of companies don't go and, expose their management team to coaching. And I don't think it's because a lot of us don't want to do it. I never knew when it was the right time, or I never experienced it myself. So it was like, how do you do it? It's going to get in the way. Time. I don't have time. The team doesn't have time. Where is it remote?
Yeah.
Is it in the office? Like, so many questions start to get in my own way, to be honest with you.
All right. So you started the journey for yourself. Congratulations. That's essential. You're going to learn a lot about what coaching means in the first year. But look, you need to have a succession plan for for every single person in your organization. And part of that means a plan for their development. So how are they going to get to the next level? And it's not that tough. But if you do the exercise, I promise you, you're going to be appalled, because you're going to find you don't have the depth in your organization that you need. So that means you're going to have to develop those people, Rick, and you're going to have to expose them to, more education, more training, more development. And, it would depend on the individual, of course, but with a little bit of work, I think you can find that you can really enhance their skills, and it's a little bit of time and a little bit of money.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
and let's face it, training and development is a form of recognition as well.
Yeah, true. Good point. Now, is it up to the owners of the company as the leaders to determine how to implement coaching, right? Or something I've thought about is like, do you have somebody dedicated to that within the organization that develops the program of coaching for the rest of your team?
I mean, that's good. That's kind of a scale issue, right?
Okay.
So ISSA's got decent scale. We've got an HR director. That HR director is instrumental in organizational planning and development. But most companies,
they don't have that.
Your size will have somebody in HR. I think it would be a great challenge, right, for your HR professional to maybe move into a role where he or she could work on organizational development and not just recruiting.
Yeah,
so
capacity.
Where that sits, but the owner has to really sponsor it.
Okay.
And this is not a secret, Rick, but I'm going to give you a real life example. I'm not going to do this forever, right? I've been the executive director of ISSA for 7 years. Never thought I'd be here that long. I've already done my succession plan. It's done.
Wow.
It's going to take 2 years for phase 1 and 2 years for phase 2. It's done. We're done with it. So my organization knows exactly what's going to happen in 2 years and what's exactly going to happen in 4 years. And it makes that transition really easy. So I think, as a leader, right, it's great. It's great to be transparent about what you want to do so that folks don't feel surprised, undermined. And ultimately, I hope for the people in my organization, that spells opportunity.
Great point. Oh, man, that's a great point. And actually, to that point, John, yeah, you've been in that role for many years. You've been involved with the cleaning and I think the security industry and just like the building services industry. So what's kept you engaged with this industry for so long? Like, what is it that this industry that you love, hate, enjoy, challenges? So many.
I hated it for 2 years. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how difficult it was to transition from a true professional organization like Xerox to the hot mess that our industry can be sometimes. And I almost didn't make it. I almost didn't make it. I was so deeply frustrated. But eventually I learned that this is an industry where an individual can still make a difference, and make a difference for customer problems, make a difference in employees' lives, make a difference in the vendors, because if you don't have all those three things clicking, you're not going to be able to grow your business. But I mean, the industry has so much opportunity, and you can sort of pick your poison, right? Do you want to be a gigantic self-performing organization that works nationally or internationally? Do you want to be a manager of subcontractors and add value that way? Do you want to be a tech platform and provide that essential infrastructure that people need to do commerce? And, you can grow organically. You can grow through acquisition. I mean, it's still a incredibly dynamic industry. And if you really want to understand what's possible, look what's happening in distribution. Janitorial distributors used to be nice little family businesses. Today, they are multi-billion-dollar enterprises because one guy in one organization said, if we make it big, we can make it better. And there's several of them today. So I just love that aspect of the industry.
Man, yeah. I mean, and this is why I was very excited to have you, John, on this, because a lot of the audience that it's a lot of cleaning business owners, John, right? Small, medium, large size as well. But the one thing I feel like we always fail to realize or understand is the supply side, is the distribution, is the equipment manufacturing world, right? We're exposed to it when we have to buy products, or we're exposed to it when we go to the ISSA show. But there still is, to me, like a huge gap, or like a bridge that hasn't been like just manifested to where it could be right now. Is there's not enough reps, right? There's not enough reps. There's not enough manufacturing companies to be able to build those relationships with the small cleaning company, let alone, the medium-sized companies as well. Like, what is it you've been exposed to? You just said them all, right? The tech platform with SMS Assist, ISSA has exposed you to the supply distribution side, but you also probably had a good relationship on the BSC side with that as well. What is it about distribution and manufacturing that cleaning business owners, small to medium, even up to large, what should they be paying attention to? Or what should they work on right now?
Yeah, it's a great question, Rick. And look, I would say your size is not a limitation to how much engagement you can receive. So treat them like customers. You buy lunch, right? You don't let them buy lunch. You go visit them at their headquarters. You demonstrate an interest in what they do. And by the way, they're going to teach you things about your business you never dreamed possible. This is not just true for equipment manufacturers. The same would be true for your internet service provider, your telephone company. Look at anybody you do business with and ask them what you can do, what they can do to help your business be more successful, and you will be shocked what you learn.
I mean, John, that I try to preach that too, man. Like, I have distributors and reps, and again, putting on Cleaning and Cocktails, a live event, has built a good relationship with me. But they are text messages away from me. Like, I can ping any one of them, and you're right, man. Like, when you ask them for help, I never knew until I started asking. But like, I tell any of my peers too. Like, I have suppliers that will go to a walkthrough with me to help me sell. Mm-hmm. I have suppliers that will help me with route, right? Like, here, Rick, I think you can add this to the platform. I think you can, again, they don't need to, but because I asked, they will. And then vice versa, I exposed them to some good information and good tips too. But I was amazed at how much they will help if you ask. Now, they'll tell you about their bandwidth, their capacity, and, yes, they have a product to sell, and it's their job to try to gain the relationship. But like, you're right. Like, I treat them like they're friends, right? If you treat them like friends, it's amazing how much bigger your network will become. I did not realize how big that side was until
it's huge.
The past couple of years.
And distributors are awesome partners. But I meant what I said. Go visit manufacturers. It will blow your mind.
Yeah. All right. So now, let's get into ISSA a little bit, John. Again, you were here that day last year, I think, when you were here speaking at the event. Many of those people in the audience knew a little bit about ISSA. Many didn't know them. It boggles my mind how, I found ISSA fairly quickly early on in my career. We're in 2023. I know there's a lot of awesome things coming up at the end of the year, 100-year celebration. If I want to talk about that too. But where is ISSA today? Why should BSCs be more aware of ISSA, and what's coming for BSCs with ISSA?
Well, I don't know if you knew this, Rick, but for the first time in our history, we have a BSC for our president.
I just read that yesterday. I did not know. I didn't even congratulate Matt yet. I was like, I had no idea.
Matt Van Aken. If you think about it, in 2000 or what, I don't remember the exact, we couldn't even get into the show. Like, we'd all lie and say we were distributors or reps or something. We couldn't even go to the show. And when the board of directors at that time made the decision to include BSCs, it was very controversial because the distributors didn't really want their customers calling on manufacturers and vice versa. Anyway, it worked out. BSCs are now our largest membership classification. And I think ISSA is really good for BSCs, but not if you're going to be passive. Because then if you're going to be passive, it's another bill to pay. My advice is don't pay it, you know. But if you really want to engage with trade association, it's not much, Ricky. Was it a few $100s?
I think in the beginning when you're a smaller size company, it's like 200-300. I'm larger size, and it's still only like 600 or something.
Yeah, it's not much money, and I think what that gets you access to is a community, which is nice. You provide a great community, but there's a ton of training, education, and more importantly, the certifications. Because as you guys understand, it's very competitive, right? Very, very competitive. And I do think our certifications add a lot of value. So when I had my company, right, my contracting company, I became SIMS certified. And I don't know, I think I was the 198th company or something to be SIMS certified. When I came out of that process, my bottom line improved 2%. My retention improved 40%. Like it was like the improvement in my business was stunning. And I would argue that it's going to be even more powerful for a small company. So I think look really hard at the certifications. SIMS is a fabulous one. GBAC, which is about biorisk, biohazard, is a really great one. And then there's the whole EMI. Now, these are acronyms, by the way. That you know what it is? I'm not going to explain it.
I'll explain it in the description. I'll explain it.
But honestly, it is about engagement because honestly, if you're not going to engage, don't bother, right?
Well, no, I would tell you, John, too, like 2 years ago, I looked into SIMS, but this is when my brother had just started as a CFO. I was very heads down. I was working on Route, working on Rosalato. Like you are right where it takes a commitment though. Cause then when my brother, now he's took over the CFO role and he handles all the financial and accounting. Cause I've realized SIMS has a lot to do with that. So he's like, we're doing it this year, but I need to have the time allocated so I can do it because what you just said, like for us, if I shave 2% on the bottom line, that's a big deal. Like that is.
Think about what it does to your valuation.
Yeah, 100%. So what
a no-brainer. And by the way, the bigger the company, the harder it is.
Yeah.
In all fairness, right? The smaller the company, the easier it is.
But I would say, John, it's actually for the smaller size companies that are listening, put it on your radar, right? Like again, we'll put some more information on those. I think those are good call outs to describe because it becomes harder to do it later on when you're bigger. But think about the foundation it sets for you and the rest of your trajectory of your company when you know and understand your business like that. But if you could, John, describe SIMS in a couple sentences for anybody who doesn't know what SIMS is. Yeah.
So SIMS is an acronym for the Cleaning Industry Management Standard. And it's just that. ISSA will come into your business. And again, it doesn't cost much. I don't even know. Like for a small company, hundreds, thousands, it's not much. Yeah. They'll come into your company and they're going to basically tell you what you need to do to be world class. They're going to stay with you throughout the process until you get to world class. And then once you've established yourself as a cleaning industry management standard company, they will graduate you. You'll get a logo and you'll put it on every single proposal you do.
I've seen them. Yeah, I see people put it on their signature all the time.
Yeah, so there's only about 250 companies in the world that have this certification. So it really is a differentiator in the marketplace. And then we recently enhanced it by including GBAC, another terrible acronym, Global Biorisk Advisory Council. When ISSA had to respond to the pandemic, we merged in another not-for-profit trade association that helped buildings with their biohazard and biorisk protocols. That eventually became a part of the SIMS process. So today, when you sign up for SIMS, you also get a biorisk biohazard certification, which again, you can use to market your company. And again, it's peanuts. It's peanuts. So
Yeah. Would
the other thing I'll say is interesting about GBAC is, look, we didn't set out when we built this program to create a global brand, but 4,000 organizations, Ricky, in 80 countries signed up for it. So I'm talking about the top 50 airports, the top 100 convention centers, every American airline flight, every Hyatt, computer, like it's endless, you know? So think about going into a GBAC approved facility
with a GBRC certification.
GBAC, who else are they going to hire?
No, I mean it shows commitment to the trade, right? It shows commitment to your profession. To end with that discussion, John, is there a framework that comes with that? Like, does a BSC get to walk away with framework as well? Like, I got to believe, like you said, world-class business standard. For those that don't have it, again, here's your opportunity, right? Like, shit, that's why I'm talking to you too. Like, that's our opportunity. Like, we have good SOPs, but nothing better than that, like, stamp from an outside perspective. Because I think a lot of us always get, we're tunnel vision and we're in our own bubble. And it's just nice for an outside professional organization to come in and validate what you're doing, improve what you're doing, give you the tools that, again, you only have so much capacity as an organization to really, level up, basically.
Yeah, you're going to learn what you need to do and how to do it, and they're not going to let you alone until you got there, which is really one of the commitments we make as a not-for-profit. Remember, we're not like a for-profit company. If it takes you 10 months to get your SIM,
it's the same price.
We're there for 10 months, and it's funny because, like I said, we've done the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, but you know who our first GBAC account was? It was a restaurant in North Carolina with 7 employees.
Wow. Look at that. Massive, like on the other side of the spectrum. Yeah.
But I don't want to sell people. That's not what it's all about. I want people to feel free to explore it.
I did want to talk about it, though. I don't feel many do, and I don't think a 2-page explanation in a magazine tells you. I don't think hearing it from me talk about it, I think it's a little bit more like personal for people to understand.
And by the way, if somebody wants to know more, send them my email. I'll connect them with our folks. No harm, no foul, right?
For sure.
No one's going to pressure you to do anything.
No. So let's talk about, again, let's go back to the cleaning industry itself. So John, 2 things, so back-to-back questions you could take on is what, not only in 2023, but beyond, what do you see as some of the big problems for small to medium-sized cleaning companies? And then what are some, again, I look at a problem as an opportunity, but what are some of the problems as they're going into this year and next year and the years to come versus what are opportunities that are opening up that you see for the cleaning industry?
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, you probably, Rick, are better suited to identify the current issues, but I keep hearing about employment-related issues, both recruiting and retention, as sort of the number one problem. Mm-hmm. I think supply chain has been an issue at times, but that's not on the order of magnitude of the employment-related problems. So, I mean, that's what I hear about, and then of course, price, right? But I think you can easily work your way around price if you position your firm properly. Yeah. I'm not sure that's much of an answer. What would you add?
No, I mean, staffing, you nailed it. I think that is the number one concern for many. I think it's a 2-part, right? Is when you're early on in the stage of building your cleaning company, to me, I think many think about sales first. But me at a later stage of my company, and I know other peers and colleagues too, sales comes a little easier because you've built a network, people know you as a cleaning company, and business comes in the door. So I think later stage companies, it's staffing for sure. Early stage, I think it is sales because the ability to price better, how to stand out, how to message, how to feel confident, those things. One person wearing 10 hats. But then on the staffing piece, it's like, that is one thing, if we talk about technology, John, that I feel like technology hasn't done yet, but I don't know if it ever will, because it's a people game, right? Like, I don't know how much technology can affect bringing the right person to you in your organization, right?
It's not a technology game. I mean, I can tell you that this problem is bigger than ISSA. We lobby Washington extensively around immigration, and we all kind of know the answer, right? You know, let's have more immigration because it helps our country. But we're not going to get political here. You got to view that as a real constraint. That's a constraint. So to me, the ultimate opportunity, to borrow your language, Ricky, is retention. And you have to remember that your people will treat your customers the way you treat them. You treat your people right, will treat your customers right, and they're going to stay with you. And that's gonna enable you to have a very high level of customer retention. So that's the real game within the game. Is
man,
employee engagement, retention.
I got goosebumps, John, too. Think about it. Like you just said. So one of the things we practice with Rosalato, and I know, you know, when we're talking to customers with Route, and when I'm talking to my mastermind group, not upselling, but like, again, you have a greater chance to sell better with your current clientele. So you're right. We should take that same concept to your employees now. You have a better chance of growing and developing your current employees that have already signed the application, given you the information, said yes to a job. They want, at first it may be a job, but think about them as there may be a career out of this for them. You may find that diamond in the rough that's a supervisor, that now is a manager, and that can help speak to who you are as a company. So it's like upselling, right? It's your current customer base is your number one resource for more revenue. Your current employee base is your number one resource for better employees. And like we bitch about staffing, work on your current staffing first then, right? Like, and then retention increases, you just said, customer retention.
Yeah, I think it's the ultimate frontier is employee retention.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So to continue on that, like what excites you about what you've heard? Any inklings, new stuff? I know you hear things a lot sooner than we do. What is there anything out there that you're like, man, Rick, if you haven't heard about this, or if your audience doesn't know about this, like anything like just that you're like, this is, may not be today, may not be tomorrow, but something that's coming that excites you to say, again, this is why the cleaning industry is so cool. And so, you know, just.
All right. So let me tackle it after I answer the second half of your previous question, which is the opportunity, right?
Okay. Yep.
Beyond retention, there's sort of two schools of thought. One school of thought is, I'm focused, I'm doing my thing, I'm focused, that's it. Don't distract me with other stuff, that's my thing. I think it's the opposite. When I would try to sell my customers on more, I would just say, what's driving you crazy? And I didn't care what it was. It could be floral delivery. It could be the crappy landscaper. The awning needs cleaning. It didn't matter. I wanted to take care of it. And every time I saw him, I'd say, okay, what's driving you crazy today? I hate my HVAC contractor. I got a guy. And you can become a really trusted partner, you know, because remember, everybody needs people sometimes. What do you need? Oh, I got this event. I got to get these people. I got it. I got 5 people that can help you out. So I was able to build a pretty substantial organization on tell me what your pain is, and I'm going to solve it. And I think that's a great way for small companies to become more important to their customers. Because remember, everybody's got problems they can't solve, right? Everybody.
Yeah. And I think about if your client already trusts you, who better, right? So you're telling me I should pick up pest control services because that's what I'm hearing right now.
Everything. They don't want to manage it. They're already stressed out, overworked, understaffed. They got your problem on steroids.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. All right.
So anyway, but back to your thing. I mean, I think the industry is doing a really good job, and there is a tremendous amount of technology that's going to work in the industry. And, I got to be a little careful because I can't name names and I can't pick favorites, right? Because I'm Switzerland. But
obviously, Route, you could say Route. That's okay.
Yeah. No, it's great. I think when I look to sort of the hyper productive equipment that's coming out, that's really, I think investment in equipment is really smart, given the fact that wages are going up. It's hard to make that argument in low wage environments like Mexico or China. Automation doesn't pay there, but it pays here. Because a piece of equipment is nothing compared to the cost of a human being. So whether it's, sort of electrostatic devices that produce, 18 or 20,000 square foot an hour productivity, or I don't think we're there with robots yet, but we're really,
that's how I was going to talk to you about that too, John.
really close. We're really
I feel
close.
like we're close.
A lot of firms are experimenting. I would say if you don't have a robot somewhere in your organization that you're playing with, you're missing it.
Yeah, I agree.
Be a couple, because by learning now how to make that technology work, and by the way, you don't even have to buy it. There's some really big, important, exciting firms that will lease them to
That's
you.
all they do is lease. And
Right.
I'm with you, man. Cobots, right? The Cobot term. I love it.
There's so many great
I embrace
companies.
it.
Yeah. So I can say without a shadow of a doubt, if we were to look way out in the future, automation is clearly going to be the thing that changes our industry. So get in now, figure it out, and maybe you can be on the early part of the curve.
Yeah. Because I would tell you, John, the number one complaint I know I see when Rosalato shares their complaints and everything, right? Not that we get complaints. Never. Is floor services. The amount of floor that you have to cover versus the amount of detail a client will pay for never adds up. So it's a game. It's a race game to like time, minutes, seconds. With the Cobot approach, I feel like it is the direction that allows your staff to focus on the details. It's just a matter of how do we message the value add that the customer is going to get that will inevitably pay for it, where we both win, right? They win, we win, the supplier wins, because I think they're onto it. I know some of the big companies are probably talking about, but it's like they're onto it. I just keep going, keep pushing, because it is going to end up helping a BSC, and in return, it's going to help the end consumer too.
Yeah, I almost wish I could name names, because I think a couple of the firms are really focused on BSCs and are trying to create opportunities. So,
for sure.
I won't. But I'm telling you, do an experiment, you guys.
For sure. I could give a shout out to my boy Matt. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
that's all.
And then I think the other big trend that your audience should not underestimate is ESG, because your services are either going to contribute to or detract from company ESG goals. It's got to be part of the proposal. It's got to be part of the delivery system.
So, John, to that point, man, see, you just sidetracked me. I'm going to go into another direction here. I was about like I had my all right, ESG, because I am 100% agree with you on that. I just became privy to it and understand it this past year. It's a part of our, pitch deck. It's part of our slide deck now. Can you explain, just, again, not too deep into it, but like explain that to the small business owner that may say, well, what the hell is ESG? Why should I care about it?
So you're going to Google it and you'll learn enough about that. But in terms, environmental, social, and governance. And your services can contribute to a company's environmental, social, and governance goals. And without draining it, I would encourage you to go online and learn a little about the terms. But it has to do with, how your employees are treated, the kind of environment that employers provide to their employees, which you shape, the chemicals you use, which is huge. I mean, if you are not using environmentally acceptable chemicals and processes, you're going to get your head handed to you, because that's part of that ESG story. And we know today there are technologies like hypochlorous acid, right, that are water, salt, and electricity that do a wonderful job of cleaning.
Wonderful job.
And,
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, but there's lots of great products out there that are green, and our members make a lot of them, but really focus on this as another way to differentiate your company, because every single organization in the world is challenged to do a better job with environmental, social, and governance issues.
Yes. All right. Again, I'll add more information on that, you guys, because it is, especially I would say, John, agree with me if I'm right, but like property management firms, ESG is all about that, or they're all about ESG. Anybody big. Procurement, ESG is on their docket when they're talking. So again, sometimes it becomes just know the language, right, John? Like know the language, understand it. It speaks to your knowledge of what, who you're talking to. And it's simple things to research before you're going into a sales call or a presentation. But again, use ISSA as a resource. But on ISSA, John, let's talk about Vegas coming up. Trust me, I preach ISSA all the time. I preach BSCAI all the time. You guys are the two leading firms for a BSC or a cleaning contractor to get any kind of value out of, peer-to-peer, understanding supplies, understanding content, understanding the industry. What do we have in store for cleaning contractors or just anybody from the industry in Vegas this year for the 100-year anniversary?
Yeah, so we're 100 years old. It's
100 years old. Woo.
Right? We are 100 years old. And so, I can tell you that we think that's a really big deal, Rick. Very few firms of any kind make it to 100 years. And so we're going to have obviously a big celebration. There'll be some fun stuff to do. We ran out a really cool nightclub. But I don't think 100 years is a reason to go to the trade show. I think the reason to go to the trade show is so you can raise your skill set in this industry. And and so think about this, right? If you devote 2 or 3 days to going to a trade show, there's probably going to be 90 classes you can take, everything from vocational stuff to leadership, management, HR, you name it. There's a ton of education. But there's going to be 700 companies on the trade show floor, and you're going to go to all of them. And again, talk to them like they're your customer, right?
Yeah.
Because not all of them are going to have something for you. But where else could you invest 72 hours? And again, it costs next to nothing to go to a trade show. I mean, the hotel, that's what costs money.
Yeah, but you're going to have fun at the hotel anyway. So again,
it is mind-boggling to me that every single person in the cleaning industry doesn't go to the show.
I know. Yeah, man, I haven't missed it. I don't miss it just because for anything and all, you may walk the floor in a day or two and you may see some of the same brands, but I'm telling you guys, like the industry changes, people change, new relationships are built. It's constant change. And like, I learn more when I go and I meet the peers and I meet at least, I'm going to tell you 4 to 5 new people that I build year-long relationships with. Cause it's you guys aggregate such a good amount of people to go there. I can't speak about it enough. I'm excited for it.
Look, it's located, Ricky, with BSCAI.
Yeah, no, yeah.
BSCAI is a remarkable organization. We've been partnering with them for decades. So it's the one time you can go to a place and experience both BSCAI and ISSA. It's remarkable.
It is. Yeah, because I'll tell you, like, and when people ask us all the time, I remember my buddy Matt Tiberi, shout out to Matt. We were like, man, Rick, how do people not go to both, right? Because to us, or to me and Matt, right, in our group of friends, like, we go to the ISSA show, the exhibitor. You get everything you need to know. Everything you need to know about the cleaning space on the supplier and manufacturer side. And if you go there with a plan, I tell everybody, go there with a plan, go there with an agenda, know the 5 to 8 brands that you want to talk to. Where are you falling short? What do you need help? Where are you at in your market? Boom, 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 boom. Then go to the BSCI to go meet with some of the top level contractors in the space to learn from them, grow a relationship. And it's two different experiences. And it's like you said, there's nowhere else that you go to get both in the same week. So yeah, awesome. Well, lastly, because let's go back to where we first started. We were talking about me being in the family business, John. How does your family contribute to the amount of work you put in, man? Because you're a busy guy in the industry. You're a face, and you're the face of ISSA right now. Like, you help everybody that is learning more about ISSA. You speak on it. Your representation of the cleaning industry, in my opinion. How does your family contribute to that? As far as I know my family's like I got my son FaceTime me right now, but like let's talk about your family. Let's end with the family piece of we're it's my favorite. It's it hits home with me.
So Ricky, I'm blessed with a beautiful family. I got 7 kids now. Before you,
you got 7. You're like a Mexican family. You got 7 kids. Holy cow!
It's a combined family.
Okay. All right.
My second marriage, but look, my family means everything to me, and for me, I'm in a different place. My kids are grown up. I got 21 to 36. I got 4 grandkids, and so for me, I'm still really actively parenting, and maybe this is sort of the news for your audience is it never stops, right? And I got everything from public company CEOs to nannies to engineers to nurses, and I got everything in, and they're all unique and wonderful and supportive. And I got to tell you, there were a lot of years I wasn't around much. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I traveled a lot in my career. I'm almost embarrassed to tell you I have flown more than 7 million miles in my life, which is shameful, right? It's a shameful statistic.
Not for the points guy. The points guy would tell you got a lot of points still. No, I'm kidding.
Useless. Anyway, so I think they had to learn to live without a dad. And honestly, I wish I had some of that over, because it wasn't the best. But we're all really close today. We're a dynamic family. And the good news for me is both sets of kids really get along, so.
That's awesome, man.
I'm very grateful to my family. And talk about shout outs. You can't do one of these without mentioning your wife, because that will get you in trouble every time, Ricky.
Yes.
My wife's a nurse, and I think nurses are wired for service, and I get the pleasure.
They're servants. They are servants.
Taken care of by an extraordinary woman. And she's Italian, which means she can cook. So I'm a very lucky guy, Ricky.
Yeah. No, man. Well, shout out to your family then, John, too, right? It's like, because I know I said you are a busy guy, and it takes a lot. I'm busy as well with a lot of things that I do, and we're nothing without our family. That's why I wanted to end with our family, because they're the ones that deserve the shout out. If they're not in the business, they are by default, because but I hope they would look at what you've accomplished and how many lives you've impacted, and how many people that are thankful for what you've done for us in the cleaning industry. So shout out to your family. I hope.
Thank you, Ricky.
They appreciate the hard work that you put in. It's a thankless job all the time, a lot of times, but I think it's the moments when we have like this and we talk about it and we share experiences, and that shine a bright light on the efforts that somebody has put on. So I wanted to end with that.
Cannot end there, because
Okay, go ahead.
I gotta tell you, this is a unique experience for me, right? So, as a contractor for decades, as the head of this association for almost one, I've never had this opportunity. So what you're doing is extraordinary, and I really want to encourage you to keep it up. Look, you're doing this in addition to your businesses, and I know you have more than one of them. I just think it's real leadership. And I tip my hat to you.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Hey, because we're friends, right?
Because we're friends.
Yes. Awesome. Well, hey, John, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Again, I don't want to take you away from the sunlight. I'm in the dark room over here. You're in the sunlight. Not cool. But you guys, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Again, this is a great episode. John just shared a lot of knowledge. I hope everybody, absorbed and listened. John said it. I'll share his LinkedIn information. You guys can connect with the guy. He's a wealth of
Give me
knowledge.
ISSA email. It's even better. ISSA email.
I'll give you guys ISSA email. John, I will see you soon, my friend, and we will be talking soon. And again, Cleaning and Cocktails, audience, family, team, stronger together. Thank you so much, and we'll talk again.
Thanks, Ricky.